Welcome to my channel. Value Quarter Dollar. The United States quarter dollar from 1966 is a fascinating piece of American coinage that reflects a pivotal moment in the nation's monetary and cultural history. Issued by the United States Mint, the 1966 quarter belongs to the Washington Quarter Series, which originally began in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of the birth of George Washington. However, by 1966, the coin had undergone a major transformation due to economic pressures, particularly a shortage of silver that affected U.S. coin production in the early 1960s. Prior to 1965, quarters were composed of 90% silver, but starting in 1965 and continuing through 1966, the composition changed to a copper-nickel-clad structure. An outer layer of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a pure copper core. This shift marked the end of an era for precious metal circulation coins in everyday American use and reflected broader economic adjustments during that time. The design of the 1966 quarter retains the iconic left-facing profile of George Washington on the obverse front, a design created by sculptor John Flanagan. Above Washington's head appears the word liberty, symbolizing the foundational value of freedom in the United States. To the left of his portrait is the motto, "In God We Trust," a phrase that became a standard inscription on U.S. coins and reflects the nation's historical acknowledgement of faith and moral guidance. The date, 1966, is inscribed below the bust. Notably, coins from 1965 to 1967 do not carry mint marks, as the government temporarily removed them in an effort to discourage coin hoarding during the coin shortage crisis. On the reverse back of the coin, the design features a heraldic eagle with outstretched wings, also created by John Flanagan. The eagle clutches a bundle of arrows in its talons, symbolizing strength and readiness to defend the nation, while beneath it are two olive branches representing peace. Above the eagle is the inscription, United States of America, and below it is quarter dollar, indicating the coin's denomination. The Latin motto, E pluribus unum, meaning out of many one, appears above the eagle's head. This phrase reflects the unity of the original 13 colonies forming a single nation, and continues to symbolize the coming together of diverse states and peoples into one unified country. It is one of the oldest mottos associated with the United States and carries deep philosophical and historical significance. The absence of silver in the 1966 quarter gives it a distinct appearance compared to earlier issues. Instead of the bright, lustrous shine of silver, the clad coin has a slightly duller, more grayish tone, and over time, the copper core can sometimes be seen along the coin's edge as a reddish stripe. This visual difference makes it relatively easy for collectors and enthusiasts to distinguish pre-1965 silver quarters from later clad versions. Although the 1966 quarter does not typically carry high intrinsic metal value due to its lack of silver, it remains collectible, especially in uncirculated or high-grade conditions. Historically, the 1966 quarter represents a transitional period in American coinage. The Coinage Act of 1965, which led to the removal of silver from quarters and dimes, was a direct response to rising silver prices and the increasing cost of producing coins. As people began hoarding silver coins, the circulation of everyday currency was disrupted, prompting the government to adopt more cost-effective materials. The 1966 quarter, therefore, is not just a piece of currency, but also a symbol of economic adaptation and modernization in the United States. From a cultural perspective, the inscriptions Liberty, In God We Trust, and E pluribus unum together encapsulate key elements of American identity, freedom, faith, and unity. These mottos are not merely decorative. They convey ideals that have shaped the nation's values and continue to resonate with its citizens. The coin serves as a small but powerful representation of these principles, carried daily in commerce and life. In terms of value today, a typical circulated 1966 quarter is generally worth its face value of 25 cents, though collectors may pay more for coins in exceptional condition, such as those graded highly by professional grading services. Special versions, like proof coins, though proofs were not issued in 1966, only special mint sets, can also carry additional value. Coins from special mint sets often exhibit a sharper strike and better finish compared to regular circulation coins, making them more desirable among collectors. Overall, the 1966 United States quarter dollar stands as a meaningful artifact that bridges traditional silver coinage and the modern clad era. It reflects economic challenges, artistic continuity, and enduring national ideals, all encapsulated in a small, everyday object that has passed through countless hands over the decades. The next top. The 1978 United States quarter dollar is part of the long-running Washington Quarter Series, one of the most recognizable coins in American history. First introduced in 1932 to honor George Washington on the 200th anniversary of his birth, the design remained largely unchanged through 1978. The obverse front of the coin features a left-facing portrait of Washington, designed by sculptor John Flanagan. Above his head is the word Liberty, a foundational concept in American identity, while the phrase, "In God We Trust," appears to the left of Washington's neck. This motto, officially adopted by the United States in 1956 during the Cold War era, reflects the country's historical emphasis on faith and moral guidance. The year 1978 is inscribed at the bottom of the obverse, marking the coin's minting year during a period of economic recovery and political transition in the United States following the turbulence of the 1970s, including events like the aftermath of the Vietnam War and the Watergate scandal. On the reverse back side of the 1978 quarter, the design features a heraldic eagle with outstretched wings, also created by Flanagan. The eagle is perched on a bundle of arrows, symbolizing strength and readiness to defend the nation, while beneath the arrows are olive branches representing peace. Above the eagle is the Latin motto, E Pluribus Unum, which translates to out of many one, signifying the unity of the original 13 colonies into a single nation. Surrounding the eagle are stars representing the states, reinforcing the theme of unity and federalism. The inscription, United States of America, curves along the top edge, while quarter dollar appears at the bottom, clearly indicating the coin's denomination of 25 cents. The overall composition reflects traditional American symbolism rooted in classical heraldry and Enlightenment ideals, emphasizing balance between strength and peace. The 1978 quarter was minted at 3 major United States mint facilities: Philadelphia, no mint mark; Denver, marked with a D; and San Francisco, marked with an S, typically for proof coins. Coins produced for circulation were struck in a copper-nickel clad composition, consisting of a pure copper core sandwiched between outer layers of 75% copper and 25% nickel. This composition had been adopted in 1965, replacing the earlier 90% silver coins due to rising silver prices and coin shortages. As a result, the 1978 quarter contains no silver, which is an important consideration for collectors and investors. The coin has a standard weight of 5.67 grams and a diameter of 24.3 millimeters, with a reeded grooved edge that historically helped prevent the shaving of precious metal from coins when they were made of silver. In terms of production numbers, millions of 1978 quarters were minted, making them relatively common in circulation and generally not rare. However, their value can vary depending on condition, mint mark, and whether the coin is part of a proof set. Uncirculated coins with minimal wear and strong luster are more desirable to collectors, especially those graded highly on the Sheldon coin grading scale. Proof coins from San Francisco, which were specially struck for collectors using polished dies and planchets, often display a mirror-like finish and sharper details. Errors, such as off-center strikes or doubled dies, can significantly increase a coin's value, although such examples are rare. The inscriptions Liberty, In God We Trust, and E Pluribus Unum each carry deep historical and philosophical meaning. Liberty reflects the core principle upon which the United States was founded, emphasizing freedom and individual rights. In God We Trust, though controversial in some modern discussions, has been a consistent feature on U.S. currency for decades and reflects the historical influence of religion in public life. Meanwhile, E Pluribus Unum dates back to the founding era and was first used on the Great Seal of the United States in 1782, symbolizing unity among diversity, a concept that remains central to the American identity. From a historical perspective, the 1978 quarter represents a prelude to major changes in U.S. coinage design. Just 2 years later, in 1979, the U.S. Mint introduced the Susan B. Anthony dollar, marking a shift toward honoring a wider range of historical figures. Decades later, in 1999, The Washington quarter design would undergo its first major change with the introduction of the 50-state quarters program, which replaced the traditional eagle reverse with designs representing each state. These changes reflect the evolving nature of U.S. currency as both a medium of exchange and a canvas for national storytelling. In conclusion, the 1978 United States quarter dollar is more than just a piece of everyday currency. It is a compact representation of American history, values, and artistry. From the dignified portrait of George Washington to the symbolic eagle and meaningful inscriptions, every element of the coin tells a story about the nation's identity and ideals. While it may not be rare or highly valuable in most cases, its historical significance and enduring design make it an important part of American numismatic heritage, appreciated by collectors and historians alike. The next top. The 1980p United States quarter dollar is part of the long-running Washington Quarter Series, which began in 1932 to commemorate the 200th birthday of George Washington. By 1980, this coin had become a standard piece of everyday American currency, minted primarily for circulation rather than collectors, yet it still carries layers of historical, artistic, and symbolic meaning that reflect the identity and values of the United States. The P mint mark indicates that the coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which is the original and one of the most historically significant minting facilities in the country. Interestingly, prior to 1980, Philadelphia coins often did not carry a mint mark, but beginning in that year, the P was added to most denominations, including the quarter, as part of a broader effort to standardize mint identification across U.S. coinage. The obverse front of the coin features a left-facing portrait of George Washington, designed by sculptor John Flanagan, whose initials JF appear subtly on the coin. Surrounding Washington's profile are the inscriptions Liberty at the top, In God We Trust to the left, and the year 1980 at the bottom. The phrase "In God We Trust" is the official motto of the United States, adopted by Congress in 1956 during the Cold War era, and it reflects a long-standing tradition of invoking divine guidance or moral authority in national identity. Its placement on coins dates back to the 19th century, becoming standard on most denominations by the mid-20th century. On the reverse back, the coin displays an eagle with outstretched wings perched on a bundle of arrows, symbolizing strength and readiness to defend the nation, while olive branches beneath represent peace, together forming a visual balance between war and peace. This design is also by John Flanagan and remained in use on quarters until it was replaced in 1999 by the 50-state quarters program. Above the eagle appears the Latin motto, E pluribus unum, meaning out of many one, which reflects the union of the original colonies into a single nation and, more broadly, the idea of unity among diverse peoples. Around the top edge is the inscription, United States of America, and below the eagle is the denomination quarter dollar. The 1980 P quarter is composed of a clad structure rather than solid silver, consisting of a pure copper core sandwiched between layers of copper-nickel alloy, 75% copper and 25% nickel. A composition that has been used since 1965 when rising silver prices made silver coinage impractical for everyday use. The coin weighs approximately 5.67 grams and has a diameter of 24.3 millimeters, with a reeded edge, the grooved rim, which historically helped prevent the shaving or clipping of precious metal from coins when they were made of gold or silver. In terms of production, hundreds of millions of 1980 P quarters were minted, reflecting the high demand for coinage in circulation during that time, and as a result, most examples found today are not rare and carry modest value unless they are in uncirculated or exceptionally well-preserved condition. However, collectors still pay attention to details such as strike quality, luster, and the presence of errors, like double dies or off-center strikes, which can significantly increase a coin's value. From a historical perspective, the 1980 quarter comes from a period marked by economic challenges in the United States, including inflation and shifts in monetary policy, making these coins small artifacts of a larger economic story. The use of enduring national mottos, "In God We Trust" and "E pluribus unum," alongside the image of George Washington, reinforces themes of faith, unity, and leadership that have been central to American identity. Even though it is a common coin, the 1980 P quarter encapsulates nearly 2 centuries of design continuity, national symbolism, and minting tradition, linking it to both earlier silver quarters and the modern commemorative designs that followed. For numismatists and historians alike, it serves as a tangible reminder of how everyday objects can carry deep cultural and historical meaning, blending art, politics, economics, and national ideals into a single small piece of metal that has passed through countless hands over the decades. The next top. The 1988 United States quarter dollar is part of the long-running Washington Quarter series, which has been in circulation since 1932 to honor George Washington, the first president of the United States. The D Mint mark on the coin indicates that it was produced at the Denver Mint, one of the major facilities operated by the United States Mint. On the obverse, front, side of the coin, you will find a left-facing portrait of George Washington, originally designed by sculptor John Flanagan. Above Washington's head appears the national motto, "In God We Trust," a phrase that has been used on U.S. coins since the 19th century and reflects the country's historical cultural values. Around the top edge is the word liberty, symbolizing freedom, and below the bust is the date, 1988, indicating the year the coin was minted. The reverse back of the coin features an eagle with outstretched wings, a traditional American symbol of strength and independence. Above the eagle is the Latin motto, E pluribus unum, meaning out of many one, signifying the union of the states into one nation. Surrounding the eagle are olive branches, representing peace, and the inscriptions United States of America and quarter dollar, denoting the country of origin and denomination. The 1988 D quarter is composed of a clad composition rather than solid silver. Specifically, it consists of an outer layer of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a pure copper core, giving it durability and resistance to wear for everyday circulation. This composition has been standard for U.S. quarters since 1965, when rising silver prices led to the removal of precious metal from circulating coinage. In terms of physical specifications, the coin has a diameter of 24.26 millimeters, a weight of 5.67 grams, and a reeded edge, the ridged sides, which historically helped prevent coin clipping. The mintage of the 1988 D quarter was quite high. Hundreds of millions were produced, so it is generally considered a common coin in circulated condition and typically holds only face value unless it is in uncirculated or mint state condition, where collectors may value it slightly higher. However, coins with errors, exceptional luster, or high-grade certification, such as MS-65 or above, can be more desirable among numismatists. The 1988 issue is also notable because it comes just before some changes in minting technology and design refinements that occurred in later years, making it part of the modern clad era of U.S. coinage. Collectors often look for details such as sharpness in Washington's hair, clarity of the inscriptions "In God We Trust," liberty, and E pluribus unum, and the presence of the D Mint mark to confirm its origin. Overall, the 1988 D Washington quarter is a representative example of late 20th century American circulating coinage, combining historical symbolism, standardized industrial minting processes, and widespread everyday use, while still holding interest for collectors who appreciate its design, condition variations, and role within the broader history of U.S. currency. The next top. The 1994 United States quarter dollar is part of the long-running Washington Quarter series, which has been in circulation since 1932 and features a portrait of George Washington, the first president of the United States, on its obverse front. Designed originally by sculptor John Flanagan, the obverse displays Washington facing left, with the word liberty inscribed above his head, the phrase "In God We Trust" positioned to the left of his portrait, and the year, 1994, below. The motto, "In God We Trust," has appeared on U.S. coinage since the 19th century and became the official national motto in 1956, reflecting a historical blending of religious sentiment with national identity. On the reverse back of the 1994 quarter, you will find a heraldic eagle with outstretched wings, which is a powerful national symbol representing strength and freedom. The eagle is perched above a bundle of arrows, symbolizing readiness to defend the nation, while olive branches beneath represent peace. Above the eagle is the inscription, "United States of America," and below it is the denomination quarter dollar. Encircling the top of the reverse is the Latin motto, E pluribus unum, which translates to out of many one, signifying the unity of the original 13 colonies into a single nation and, more broadly, the coming together of diverse peoples to form one country. This phrase has deep roots in early American history and was adopted as a de facto motto before "In God We Trust" was formalized. The 1994 quarter was minted in 3 locations: Philadelphia Mint, no mint mark; Denver Mint, with a D mint mark; and San Francisco Mint, with an S mint mark, typically for proof coins intended for collectors. These coins are composed of a clad composition, outer layers of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a pure copper core, giving them durability and a silver-like appearance without containing actual silver, as earlier quarters did before 1965. The diameter of the coin is 24.26 millimeters, and it weighs approximately 5.67 grams, with a reeded edge, the ridges around the side, originally intended to prevent shaving of precious metal. In 1994, the quarter was a standard circulation coin used in everyday commerce across the United States, long before the introduction of the 50-state quarters program in 1999, which later brought more variety and collectability to the series. While the 1994 quarter itself is not particularly rare in circulated condition, it can hold higher value in uncirculated or proof states, especially those struck with exceptional quality or preserved carefully by collectors. Numismatically, it represents a continuation of a classic American design that remained largely unchanged for decades, making it a familiar and enduring piece of American currency. The inscriptions "Liberty," "In God We Trust," and "E Pluribus Unum" together encapsulate key philosophical and historical ideals of the nation: freedom, faith, and unity. Overall, the 1994 Washington quarter is both a functional monetary unit and a symbolic artifact, reflecting American heritage, artistic tradition, and political identity through its carefully chosen imagery and inscriptions.